I love the Atari 2600. Couldn't you tell? But there is one huge problem with the 2600. It doesn't really hold up today. So let's get an Atari with better graphics. The Atari 7800. Yeah, well actually this doesn't have any graphics at all, because this one don't work. So, we're gonna do the Atari 5200. Why is it so big? I mean, seriously, this thing was massive. I mean, this is a Sega Genesis. Oh, sorry, no, that's the classic one. No, this is a real Model 1 Sega Genesis. Why is it so big? Well, here, I'll tell you why. Because it's got a fucking drawer in the back. But you know what they say, the bigger the better. That's why my girl was disappointed. Oh, a quick rundown of this fucking thing. So, the Atari 2600 came out in 1977, and by the 80s, it was obsolete by the Intellivision and the ColecoVision. So, Atari thought it'd be a good idea to make a new system that's powerful enough to compete reasonably with the ColecoVision. So, they made this thing. Yeah, and nobody was interested in it because they had their 2600s and they worked just fine. Oh yeah, and the next year the video game crash happened, so Atari lost a decent chunk of money from this thing, and it's seen as a failure, because it sold 2 million units. Which actually, if you compare it to the other systems that Atari made, it actually did alright. Okay, let's plug this bastard in. Shit. There's no plug in the console for the AC adapter. So you have better luck plugging that thing into your ass and hoping this thing works, rather than plugging it into the console. Now, here's what you have to do. Remember that cord on the back of the console? Yeah, so you get it, plug it into this box, right? Pretty normal for coax, right? But then, oh, here's your power cord. No, this also goes in here. What the fuck? Yeah, I made that joke so people would stop comparing me to Scott the Woz. By having them start to compare me to AVGN. Hey, that's probably a hater right there. Yeah, local crematorium, you kill 'em, we grill 'em, how can I help you? Oh hey, it's schizophrenia. This is the controller. Wait, this is the controller?! It does say 5200 on it. So we went from the original Atari 2600 controller that had one button to a 5200 controller that has 19! For a game this basic, that's 18 more than you need! Okay, maybe 17, but still, you don't need this many buttons! It is kind of innovative though, because it's got an analog joystick. This is one of, if not the first controller that has ever had an analog joystick. Too bad it doesn't self-center and it sucks. I mean, how could it get any worse? I figured out something that's worse with it. It don't work! Let me get this straight. You make an already shitty controller that nobody wants to use, and then let's just make it with cheap, shitty parts so it doesn't work! I don't know if that's a good thing that a shitty controller don't work, or if that's a bad thing. But it doesn't matter! I can't play Super Breakout! But with the original 2600, you could use a Genesis controller, so hey, maybe I can use a Genesis controller. No, you can't. Because the connectors on the 5200 controller it actually has more pins than, which would be fine, right? Except the 7800 went back to the DB9 connector like the 2600. So, the only controller you can use without adapters on the 5200 is the 5200 controller, or the trackball. But there's one problem. They don't work! And you know, I'd be fine with watching the game if I had popcorn, but I don't have popcorn because I expected to play the game, not watch it! Do I recommend the 5200? No! What the fuck do you think I was just yelling about? If you want to play Atari, get a 2600, and if you really can't stand the graphics, just skip it and get the 7800. It's just so much better. Or if you want to play actually good games, I'm going to get a lot of hate for saying that, play Nintendo! Or Sega Genesis! They're still retro. Just, there's way too many problems with the 5200. And they're solvable. Like, the problem with connecting the 5200 up, where you have to put the power in the switch box and all that bullshit, that was fixed with the 2-port. Atari later released a revision of the 5200 that had normal cords, like your Nintendo, whatever. That only had 2 controller ports instead of the 4. So that's up to personal preference. And yes, there is a solution to the Atari 5200 controller. You can buy replacement boards and replacement contacts on eBay. But if you really want to know why I haven't done that yet, go look at the kits on eBay, and that'll tell you right away why I haven't bought them yet. There's 69 games for the 5200. Yeah, I know, funny number. And they're good games. Some of them are good games. From what I've heard, I've never played any of them. Controller! If you're actually going to play games on it, there's so many better options.